When the body is ill, you go to a doctor. There are signs: pain, fever, weakness. You don't miss them. But when the mind is ill, most people do not even recognize it. In fact, the symptoms of an ill mind are often celebrated in society. That is the real danger. What are the symptoms? The first symptom is endless agitation. You sit in a beautiful place, the breeze is gentle, the birds are singing, but your mind cannot sit still. It is chewing yesterday's pain or worrying about tomorrow's uncertainty. An ill mind does not stay with what is. It endlessly wanders in what was and what could be. The second symptom is compulsion. When you are compelled to think in a certain way, to react in a certain way, when anger, jealousy, fear, or desire just hijack you, then your mind is not in your hands. It is like owning a car whose steering wheel turns on its own. You may polish it, fuel it, decorate it, but you cannot drive it where you want. That is illness. The third symptom is the inability to experience simple joy. A child can laugh at nothing, but as people grow, they need a reason, and not just one reason, but a very big one. If joy requires conditions, then misery will be the default setting. An ill mind does not know how to simply be glad, simply because life is happening. The fourth symptom is comparison. An ill mind cannot simply see life as it is. It is always comparing. This person is better, that person is worse. Such comparison breeds envy, inferiority, superiority, all kinds of poisons. Life cannot be experienced directly. It is constantly filtered through judgment. The last symptom is resistance to reality. Life is happening one way, the mind wants it another way. This gap creates endless suffering. You fight with what is, and of course, you always lose, because reality does not take sides. So, what to do? The solution is not to fix the world. The world has been like this for thousands of years, and will not fit into the shape of your mind. The only thing that can be fixed is the instrument of experience, your own mind. An ill mind becomes well not by running away from it, but by learning to hold it steady, by seeing clearly, not through the lens of likes and dislikes, by being able to sit here, breathing, alive, and still knowing fulfillment without any reason. If you can simply be here in peace, in clarity, in joy, not because something happened, but because you are alive, that is a sign of a well mind. So don't ask, what are the symptoms of an ill mind? Look within and ask, right now, is my mind my servant, or has it become my master? The answer will tell you the state of your mental health. Restlessness of thought is perhaps the most common, and yet the least noticed symptom of an ill mind. If you observe carefully, you will see that most people are not living here in this moment. Their body may be present, but their mind is either wandering in the past or projecting into the future. If you are sitting in a beautiful place, the breeze may be gentle, the sky vast and blue, the sound of life humming around you, but your mind is rarely willing to simply be here. It is busy replaying something that happened yesterday or worrying about something that might happen tomorrow. This endless movement is not a choice. It is a compulsion. You may try to stop it for a moment, but it does not listen. It runs on its own momentum. Why does this happen? Because memory and imagination, which are two of the most powerful faculties given to a human being, have turned against us. Memory is a tremendous gift. It allows you to learn, to store experience, to build wisdom from the past. Imagination is equally valuable. It allows you to create, to design, to project into possibilities that do not yet exist. These two are tools meant to enrich life, but for most people, memory and imagination have become sources of suffering. Memory becomes regret, pain, anger, and resentment. Imagination becomes anxiety, fear, and endless worry. Instead of serving as tools, they have taken over as masters. The restless mind does not allow you to experience reality as it is. Every situation is clouded by yesterday's residue or tomorrow's projection. Even the simplest of moments cannot be tasted fully because the mind is chewing on something else. You may sit with a friend, but you are not with the friend, you are with your own noise. You may eat a meal, but you do not really taste it, because your thoughts are busy elsewhere. Life is happening right here, right now, but an agitated mind never lets you live it. This restlessness is often mistaken for intelligence. People think, if my mind is running fast, it means I am smart. But the speed of thought is not intelligence. True intelligence is the ability to hold the mind still when you want, to use it when you need, and to put it down when it is not required. If the mind keeps spinning without pause, it is not a sign of brilliance, it is a sign of lack of control. It is like a car whose engine never switches off, constantly revving, even when standing still. At some point, the engine will wear out, and so will you. Restlessness of thought creates a continuous undercurrent of stress. The body is sitting, but the mind is running marathons. This friction between body and mind generates unease. Many physical illnesses are born from this restless mental state. Sleeplessness, fatigue, hypertension, even more serious conditions often have their roots in the inability of the mind to remain calm. The body longs for rest, but the mind refuses. It is like trying to sleep while someone is playing drums inside your head. No matter how soft the bed, you will not find rest if the mind is not still. This endless agitation also erodes the quality of your relationships. If you are constantly caught in your own chatter, you cannot truly listen to another person. You only hear fragments filtered through your restless thinking. Misunderstandings arise, not because the other person is unclear, but because your mind is too noisy to receive what is being said. Even in love, people are rarely with each other. They are with their projections, expectations, and memories. What could be a living connection turns into a struggle between two restless minds. Another aspect of this restlessness is that it keeps you away from inner clarity. When water is still, you can see its depth. When it is constantly agitated, you only see ripples. The mind is the same. A restless mind can never perceive reality clearly. It is always distorted by waves of thought. Even simple decisions become complicated because the mind keeps churning possibilities endlessly. You may think this is careful planning, but often it is just compulsive thinking. True clarity arises only when the mind can settle, when thoughts come as instruments, not as an unbroken stream of noise. Restlessness of thought also steals the richness of life. The ability to simply sit and breathe, to simply watch the sunrise, to simply feel alive in this moment is lost. You may travel to beautiful places, meet wonderful people, accomplish great things, but the restless mind will not allow you to taste them. It will whisper, "What next? What else? What more?" The banquet of life is laid before you, but you are chewing on old leftovers or dreaming of future meals. The real feast passes you by. The tragic part is that most people do not even realize this restlessness is an illness. Because everyone around is also restless, it seems normal. People wear it as a badge of busyness, of productivity, of ambition. But if your mind cannot sit with you in stillness, if it cannot rest in the simplicity of being alive, then it is working against you. A restless mind is not a luxury. It is a thief that steals life moment by moment. This condition does not come from outside. It is self-created. Thoughts are not falling from the sky. They are being generated within. But once generated, they go on without pause because we have not learned to manage them. The mind is a powerful machine, but if you do not know how to handle it, it becomes a source of torment. You do not need an enemy in life if your own mind refuses to sit quietly. It is like living with an unruly companion who never stops talking, never lets you rest, never allows you to experience silence. Would you like me to now expand keynote no? To compulsion. Mind controls you, not the other way around also into 9. 100 words in the same style. Compulsion is the clearest sign that the mind is no longer in your hands. A healthy mind is something you can direct as you wish, like a tool, sharp and precise, used only when required. But when the mind is compulsive, it begins to use you. It decides what to think, what to feel, how to react, and you are left believing you made those choices. In truth, you are being dragged by forces within yourself that you do not understand. When anger rises uninvited, when fear grips you without reason, when jealousy burns in you against your own will, that is not freedom. That is the compulsion of the mind taking charge of your life. Most people do not see this as an ailment because it has become their normal way of living. From the moment they wake up, thoughts and emotions flow without pause. One moment they are joyous, the next moment they are irritated. One moment they are determined, the next moment they are lost in doubt. There is no steady hand steering the wheel. Life moves them this way and that, depending on situations, people, or memories. If someone says a kind word, they are up. If someone criticizes, they are down. Like a puppet tied to invisible strings, they dance not because they choose to, but because something pulls them. When you cannot choose your inner state, when every small trigger can decide whether you are peaceful or miserable, that is compulsion. Imagine carrying a phone in your pocket that dials random numbers on its own, sometimes connecting you to a friend, sometimes to an enemy. Would you call that a useful phone? In the same way, a compulsive mind is not reliable. It may bring joy occasionally, but most of the time it drags you into unnecessary turmoil. Compulsion can be seen in habits that people cannot break, no matter how much they want to. They know that anger will damage their relationships, but they cannot stop it. They know that worrying will not solve tomorrow, but they cannot control it. They know jealousy poisons their heart, but it keeps returning. The mind becomes like a scratched record, playing the same track again and again, even when you are tired of hearing it. You may shout at it to stop, but it plays louder. That is the power of compulsion. Even desires, when compulsive, are chains. There is nothing wrong with wanting to eat, to work, to love, to create. But when the desire becomes compulsive, you are no longer enjoying it. You are being enslaved by it. For example, if food is just nourishment, you eat and live well. If it becomes compulsion, it leads to craving and suffering. If money is a tool, you use it with wisdom. If it becomes compulsion, no amount is enough. The problem is not in the object, but in the compulsive grip the mind has created around it. Compulsion also hides itself in the form of justification. When the mind acts out, you will find reasons afterward to make it seem sensible. You may shout at someone and then say, "They provoked me, I had no choice." You may indulge in worry and say, "I am only being responsible." But if your reactions are not chosen, if they come before you decide, that is not responsibility, it is helplessness. The mind acts, and you build stories to defend it. This way, compulsion continues unchecked. The greatest tragedy of compulsion is that it denies you the experience of freedom. True freedom is not about doing whatever you want in the external world. It is about being able to sit within yourself without being pushed or pulled by thought and emotion. If you want to be peaceful, you should be able to be peaceful. If you want to be joyful, you should be able to be joyful. If your inner state is being decided by someone's words, by yesterday's memories, or by tomorrow's fears, then you are not free. You are a prisoner of your own mind. Compulsion also blinds you to life's possibilities. When the mind repeats the same patterns endlessly, it closes the door to new ways of seeing and living. You react in the same old manner, you speak the same old words, you walk the same old circles. Life may offer fresh opportunities, but the compulsive mind cannot recognize them. It is too busy repeating what it knows. In this way, compulsion reduces the vastness of life into narrow tracts of habit. The cost of living with such a mind is not just inner suffering, but wasted potential. A human being has the capacity to shape their destiny, to create consciously, to bring beauty and meaning into existence. But if the mind is compulsive, all this potential is squandered in repetitive loops of fear, anger, craving, and doubt. Instead of being the author of your story, you become a character trapped in someone else's script, written by the compulsions you never question. To live with a compulsive mind is to carry a fire in your hand without knowing how to hold it. Sometimes it warms you, sometimes it burns you, but always it is unstable. If you cannot decide how your mind should function, if you cannot put it down when you want silence, then it is no longer your instrument. It has become your master, and you have become its servant. The inability to experience simple joy without conditions is another deep sign of an ill mind. A child can laugh at nothing, a bird can sing just because the sun has risen, a flower can bloom without reason. But the human mind, when clouded by illness, demands reasons, conditions, and justifications before it allows joy. If something good happens, joy arises. If nothing happens, misery takes its place. Joy becomes transactional, a product of circumstance rather than the natural fragrance of being alive. When life is reduced to this kind of conditional experience, every small thing outside of you becomes a switch that decides whether you are happy or not. Someone smiles at you and you feel good. Someone frowns and your day is ruined. You get what you desire and you are delighted. You lose it and you are broken. In this way, your inner state becomes like a puppet hanging on the threads of external events. But external events are never fully in your control. The world does not bend to your plans, people do not always meet your expectations, and situations rarely move according to your convenience. If joy requires conditions, then it will always remain fragile, because conditions change, and change is the nature of life. An ill mind forgets that joy is not something to be imported from outside. It is a possibility that arises within when one is aligned with life. To be alive in this moment is itself enough reason to be joyful. The breath moving in and out, the beating of the heart, the simple fact that existence has chosen to keep you here, these are reasons beyond measure. Yet a mind trapped in illness cannot see this. It overlooks the miracle of life because it is busy chasing artificial reasons for happiness. It believes joy must be earned through achievement, purchased through possessions, or granted through relationships. This endless bargaining with life ensures that joy remains always one step ahead, never here, never now. When joy is conditional, even success does not guarantee fulfillment. A person may reach the peak of their career, accumulate wealth, and earn recognition, but still find themselves hollow within. The goalposts of happiness keep shifting. Today's achievement quickly becomes yesterday's memory, and the mind demands another tomorrow. The appetite for external reasons never ends, because the void inside cannot be filled with outside objects. It is like pouring water into a pot with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much you fill, it drains away. This inability to experience simple joy also makes life unnecessarily heavy. If every moment has to justify itself before you allow happiness, you carry an invisible burden. You sit under the sky, but instead of being awed by its vastness, you are calculating whether life is fair. You drink a glass of water, but instead of feeling grateful for its purity, you are worrying about tomorrow's challenges. Joy is buried under conditions, under comparisons, under expectations. The mind does not permit you to smile at life's simplicity. It wants a reason strong enough, big enough, extraordinary enough, and so the ordinary wonders of life are missed. In this state, joy is confused with excitement or stimulation. People think they are joyful when they are entertained, when something new and shiny grabs their attention. But excitement is not joy. Excitement is a temporary high followed by an inevitable low. Joy is steady, unshaken by circumstances, because it does not depend on them. A healthy mind can sit quietly, doing nothing, and still feel a gentle sense of contentment, simply because it is alive. An unhealthy mind, restless and demanding, cannot sit still without craving something to fill the silence. The inability to be joyful without conditions also creates dependence on others. If your joy is tied to how someone treats you, then you hand over the keys of your inner state to another person. If they are kind, you feel uplifted. If they are harsh, you feel shattered. In this way, relationships become burdensome because they carry the weight of your happiness. No human being can carry such weight forever, and when they fail, disappointment and resentment follow. A mind that cannot generate its own joy is always seeking, always demanding, always disappointed. At its root, this condition comes from not realizing that joy is your natural state. It is not something to be manufactured. It is what you are when the clutter of compulsions, comparisons, and conditions is set aside. But when the mind is ill, it loses contact with this natural ease. It becomes addicted to reasons, like a person who believes they cannot walk without a crutch, even though their legs are fine. The crutch is not the problem, the dependence on it is. In the same way, achievements, possessions, and relationships are not wrong. But when they become the only doors to joy, the mind reveals its sickness.